If you get caught designing and selling a cosmetic that's not registered and labelled correctly, the fines are huge, but also it can lead to imprisonment as well. So it's Sarah's job to keep me out of prison, and this is how she does it.
It's all right, you don't need to clap, you'll all be asleep in 2 minutes. I'll talk really, really fast because I know Claire finds this bit boring. Important, obviously, really, really important, because like Claire said, the core of what we do is patient safety. That patient at the end of your table, we don't treat people, but the patient at the end of your table and the end of your fingers is the most important. So you need to make sure that what you're selling, what you're doing and what treatments you're doing are legal and compliant. So even in the last roadshow that we did, one of our customers, and I've known this customer for years, and she's like, oh, I didn't think about that. And it's going, well, if you sell a product, you've got to have a lot number on it. You've got to be able to trace your lot numbers back. So we sell in medical devices. So if we have a recall from the manufacturer that says, oh my God, there's a problem with this product, you bought 2,000 of this lot number a year ago, where have you sold them to? I can give you that information in seconds. And if I couldn't, I wouldn't be keeping her out of prison. And it could be then that but then I need to be able to send to you, because if I've sold it to you, you then need to tell me, who have you injected that device, who have you injected with that, because we've got a problem. So all of this turning into digital, and even just doing your VAT, it's more than that. Using aesthetic nurse software, doing all of that is so important, because if there is a problem, you need to turn it around really, really quickly. So we actually had a product recall for the first one, and we all went, it was a mock one, yeah, but I mean, Crystal, we were sat there, Chris going, did you see the email? I was like, no. She was like, look at your emails, going, oh, shit. Because it was the first one that we'd done, so we weren't prepared, even though we got a process for it, but we just did it, luckily smashed it out of the park. So, the first one. The second one we did a bit quicker than that, actually, about 7.5 minutes. We emailed back, didn't we? So basically, I'm going to talk about ensuring safety, trust and market readiness. So again, anything that you do, a lot of companies out there going, oh, you can white label this product if you want. Well, make sure that because that's not their responsibility. If you're the one selling it to your customer and you're putting your name on it, you need to make sure that you are market ready to be legal and compliant to sell that product. So I'm going to talk about the importance of the ISO certification, how you can check your valid CE marking, because a lot of products out there will just fake a CE mark, because all it is 4 numbers and a CE mark. Understanding the UK OPSS system. Any hands up if you know what the UK OPSS system is? No. Hands up if you sell products in your clinic, skincare. You should know what the UK OPSS system is. And I'll tell you why in a minute. Do you know what the CPMP is? No, right, okay. And how you can effectively do your own product compliance searches. So again, Circus Skin Limited and Wow Facial, because we are one company almost now, we are ISO 13485, which means that, so on our scope for our ISO certification, we are medical device manufacturers and distributors. So we distribute a class 3 medical device and we manufacture the Wow Fusion device, which you're all going to get to play with in a bit, as a medical device now, as Claire touched on earlier. It's not actually classed as a medical device in Europe anymore. It was taken out last year. But we still manufacture it as a medical device, and I always will, because to manufacture it as a medical device, you're testing absolutely everything on it, even down to the little bit of glue that holds the needles in. So it's really big. For me and Claire to be able to sleep at night, knowing that what we're selling to our customers is safe, and like I said, even down to the glue, it's got to be tested. You've got to have a safety data sheet. You've got to have our documentation just for that tiny little micro needling device is huge. The technical file's about 50 pages, probably longer than that actually. But I know I can sleep at night because I know the needles are safe. I know that they've been manufactured the way that I've asked for them to be manufactured, because that's the way that we've tested them before. Even down to doing sterilisation validation. It took 90 days to do a sterilisation validation. But you do a sterilisation validation following a protocol, and then you know that your devices are sterile, and then you do testing after that to check that they're still sterile and for how long they stay sterile. So you do even down to loads of little bits of testing like that. But it's really important. Again, we like to sleep at night, don't we? So we know that we're being safe and ethical and compliant. So ensuring your quality management system is compliant with regulatory standards. So we employed this lady over here who is our QARA manager, and she basically keeps on top of all the regulations within the business, and then she'll tell me and Claire what we need to do basically, although we keep on top of it ourselves as well, but it's handy to have that third person in the company who can just make sure that you're keeping on top of your regulatory standards. We do use a quality management system. Now, you probably don't need one in your clinics, but we do have one, and it costs us a lot of money, but it keeps us in check, keeps us online, keeps us in line with regulations, compliance. It tells us anything that gets changed in our system, anything, any complaint, any complication that happens has to go through the system. So if you have a complication in clinic, for example, we'll send you a form. We will chase you 3 times, and our procedure says we've got to chase you 3 times, and the system will remind us to do that as well. So it's not somebody just sat there at the end of the phone going, oh, I must remember to ring Patricia next week. The system tells us to do it. And if we don't hear back from you, then we have to close that case, because otherwise we could end up with loads of open cases. But the system, having a quality management system, keeps us on track and makes sure that we're doing what we can to be compliant and to look after you guys as well. So demonstrating due diligence to regulators, customers and partners, really important. Ensuring traceability, risk management, product consistency throughout the life cycle. So again, our doing the lot number traceability. So you'll notice if you ever purchase anything from us, when you get your tax invoice, because we tax invoice everybody, even if you order online. If you order and pay online and you need a tax invoice, we'll send you a tax invoice. But if you don't need one, then we won't send you one. But the tax invoices will give you the lot number and expiry date for every product that you've got. So I know exactly what I've sold to you, when I've sold it to you, and when it's been delivered by lot number traceability. Because we have quite a lot of products, we do have quite a lot of lot numbers through the system, but we have to be able to trace the lot numbers and where they've been, and then you need to be able to, should be able to say who you use that lot number on if they've had a complication. Again, due diligence with regulators and quality management procedures. So we've got, I think, about 45 different standard operating procedures, but there's only 10 people in the company. Sam said it, I think, where when you are setting up systems or you're looking at going digital, always consider this question: can you run this process and this procedure if there was more than one of you? If you had 1,000 employees and 20 clinics, could that procedure that you're writing and that process that you're changing work if you had 1,000 employees? If your answer is no, rewrite your procedure, because you're only going to end up having to do it again if you then end up having 1,000 employees. You know, always think big. Me and Claire always, when we're telling our colleagues to do anything, whenever you're doing anything or thinking about anything, can you actually do it for 1,000 employees? Could you actually grow as a business doing it like that? So when I came on board with Claire, there were no procedures or policies in place, but there was only 2 of them running the business. But you'd got a good customer base, and you'd got, you know, you were doing really, really well, but you weren't compliant. Well, it's not that you weren't compliant. There were some things that needed tweaking and changing, lot numbers on products and the labels. Yeah, and do you know what? The information's out there as well. So whatever you need to find out, the information is there. Down to the font size that you need on your packaging. If you are selling skincare and you're white labelling a product from somebody else, you can't go lower than 4-point font on your packaging. Do you know, it's all these things. Sometimes you'll need the INCI list on the outside, on the inside, or, you know, you need to have them, depending what country you're selling them in, because we sell to Europe, we sell globally as well. So we've got to consider all of those different regulations throughout the world, not just in the UK. Check your notified body number. So like I said, the compliance and the regulatory things end with you, really. If you're the one injecting into your patient, it's down to you to make sure that your CE mark's valid, for you to make sure that your what you're purchasing is legal and compliant and regulatory. Okay, so you can check this Nando database. You just put the CE mark has got 4 numbers at the end of it. The reason why we are so hot on things like this is because when we were actually looking to buy the Wow Fusion device and to manufacture it properly, we actually bought 18 of them online and tested them all from different manufacturers, because we needed to find a manufacturer to design our device. And 16 of them weren't even sterile. They all said they were sterile. They all said they'd all got a CE mark on as well. None of the CE marks were legal, and out of 18, I think 16 of them weren't sterile, even though they said sterile on the box. So it's all these things, like if you find a manufacturer and you want to know, actually, is it sterile, go and ask that manufacturer for a sterilisation certificate. If they haven't got one, then they're lying to you. any documentation like that, if they're a good company, they're ISO, they are selling medical devices, then they should be able to give you any documentation that you need at the touch of a button, literally. So in Europe, we've also got the EUDAMED database. Now, to touch on this really, really quickly, the EUDAMED database was meant to be for medical devices throughout Europe, and it was going to be a one-stop shop kind of thing for all medical devices being sold in Europe and the UK. But now what's happened is, since the UK left Brexit, the UK are going one way, and I think all the other countries like Spain, Italy, are going, oh, we can make more money ourselves instead of it all going to Central Europe by building our own database. So I'm not quite sure what is going to happen with that at the minute. I don't think even they do they, unless you've got an update, Crystal, in the last 2 days. But yeah, that's. But again, yeah, that's where you can go and check people's notified bodies and certificates and things like that. And like Claire just said, look out for your labelling accuracies. Yeah, it's just really important. There are some scammers out there, and people, unfortunately, would do anything for money. Not me, I'll stay skint forever, but I love my job, so I'll stay there. So the UK OPSS system is actually, and why you must understand it. So UK OPSS is the UK's version of the CPMP, which is the portal, that's it, CPMP. So any product, cosmetic product, should be registered on there to sell in Europe. And that is where, if you were selling in the UK as well, so all pH formula stuff will all be on there. And if it's not, you might want to just ring Pam. But it will be though, because obviously pH formula is just as regulated as what we are as well. But yeah, it's got things down to, like, you have to put down, like, they even want the percentage of every ingredient that's in the product. And again, if you've done your due diligence again before, you should be able to get that information off the manufacturer, or if it's something that you are white labelling and you're doing a label yourself, you should be able to. You should have that information ready to hand. But yeah, the UK OPSS system is basically the UK's version of the CPMP. So you have to have things on there, like I said, the formulations, the percentages. You have to put whether it's got any nanomaterials in there. You have to put your artwork on there so they can check. So just recently, for example, I don't know if any of you suffered with the lack of Synergy 6 that I had in stock recently. I ordered it in December. It came to the UK. UK Board Force got hold of it and said, we were doing a document check on it. So they did a document check. Obviously, somebody asked me for anything that you need on the system, regulatory-wise document, anything like that, I send it straight away, sent it back, and they said, oh, it's going for, thank you very much, it's done its document check, that's all fine, it's now going for a physical check. It could take 3 weeks, like, they can hold it for as long as they want, but they needed to do a physical trade. It was Business Trading Standards that then took it for a physical check. So I'm going, this is business critical for me now. I'm telling people it's been coming in for the last 2 weeks and you've held it now, I need it releasing. And anyway, they sent this massive long email, replied again straight away, because they wanted things like the UK OPSS system number, they wanted the artwork, they wanted this, they wanted that. So I replied straight away with everything that they asked for. They obviously did their checks, because then they emailed me back after about 5 minutes and went, thank you very much, but you've said on your website you're making this claim. Where's the clinical evidence to provide this claim? Because if you're claiming that your product does something, you have to be able to prove it. That's what Crystal will say to you. If you have to do what you say you're going to do, and you've got to be able to prove it. So anyway, I went back and I was like, yeah, clinical trial, there you go, quickly, in 2 minutes. Got released the next day, came to me, they'd not even opened a single box. They'd not even opened the pallet. The pallet was still wrapped in black, and I'm like, oh my God, but what about these companies who can't do that? It really made me think, going, but I know, I'm like, what? Somebody's bringing it in a suitcase. They're like, yeah, they're just bringing it in a suitcase. I don't get it. But anyway, luckily for us, it got stopped. Trading Standards, we turned it around. And again, like I said, we can just provide that paperwork really, really quickly. But what I'm saying here is that HMRC, with the UK OPSS system, they are hot on what's coming into this country at the moment. Import and export, they're hot on it because they're skint and they need the money. But all I'm saying is they're getting hot on it now. So these companies who are, because they are going to filter through the shit, they're unfortunately, pardon my French, but they're going to filter through the companies who are not being compliant, who are not regulated, who are not being careful with the regulations, who are not being legal. You know, like I said, she's my big sister. I have to keep her out of prison. So being legal is a massive thing for me. So yeah, doing your research again. So check the manufacturer. Like I said, anybody should be able to give you, if they're telling you that that product does something on the tin, then they should be able to send you clinical evidence to match that. If they can't, massive red flag. Check your databases, UDMED when it's actually up and running, but obviously in the UK you've got the MHRA, so if you're selling a medical device it should be registered on the MHRA. The Wow Fusion device, even though it's not classed as a medical device, I do believe is still registered on the MHRA and should be, and all the others should be, but unfortunately they're not. The UK OPSS, which is for cosmetics, and your guidance on that. And ask for proof. If you're buying something, like I said, it's you guys that are at the end of the day. I mean, we're doing what we can to make sure that you're safe and your patients are safe, because patient safety for us is at the core of what we do, like Claire said. But it's not a secret. If anything, we shout about it because it costs us a lot of money to do it, and we know that we're safe. We know that it's safe. All of our products are safe, tested. So yeah, any audit reports, like Claire said, to be ISO 13485 means that we are medical device manufacturers as well as distributors. We get audited once a year. Sometimes it's just a surveillance audit, but sometimes it's a full audit. I think last year was a full audit because we were changing the scope of our certificate to be able to distribute Kysense as the filler legally. We were legal anyway, but we wanted it on our ISO, didn't we, basically? And we've got the Wow Fusion devices that we manufacture that on the scope as well. So they came and did a full audit. But the first ever audit, this is how important it is to get your paperwork either digital or just make sure that you know that your paperwork is in hand, because when we did our first ever audit, out of 3,000 deliveries, he found the only one damn delivery out of 3,000 that had not got a freaking signature for. I was like, how? It's like he knew. How did he know? I gave him a list of 3,000 deliveries going, pick anyone, mate. I know that they've all been delivered. I paid the bill for them delivered. I know they've all been delivered. We have to, everything we send out has to get a signature for it. And he found one that we looked on the system going, oh. How's the customer not complained? The customer had not even complained about not getting it. And it was sat in no, she'd not got it. She'd not got it. No, it was sat in a post office waiting to be collected. And normally what they would do then is send it back. But I'm going, oh, that's really bad out of all of those. But what the point is there is that we actually did a change. We did a change request. We did a change control through the system, and we've changed the way that we work. So now everything that gets delivered, when we get invoiced for it, we check on the system, have we got a signature for it? And if we haven't, then we flag it that day. So we're always like one step ahead now. But we have to put that change in place really, really quickly. But we actually nearly got a non-conformance for that, didn't we? Did we actually? We got a minor non-conformance for it. But again, that's why you get audited. Come and audit me. Come and tell me what I'm doing wrong, because I want to be perfect, and I'm a Capricorn. I have to be perfect, and I want everything to be brilliant. And I want to keep Claire out of prison sometimes. So again, just compliance, not just tick boxing exercise, but you do need to make regulatory, and you need to keep on top of your game. So the regulations and legislations are changing all the time. Keep on top of it. There's a really good company. I always get it wrong. Is it CTPQ? I think I even put it in my notes, but I can't remember. But they're like a compliance agency. So if you register with them, you can pay, but you can also get a free membership as well. But they email you when there's changes. So if they know that you're selling skincare or you're buying medical devices, they'll email you any changes in the regulations that are coming up. And a lot of things like that, you have got a couple of years to make changes. For a company like ours, I can't just all of a sudden change the packaging on a product because I might have 5,000 in stock, but they'll give you time and say, right, okay, as long as the next time you buy them, you make these changes, legal changes to your documentation, then you're allowed to do it. So yeah, you see any UKCA marks ensure we meet legal standards and obligations. Understanding the UK OPSS, like I said, if you're selling products, you need to know that they're registered. Because if anything gets stopped coming into the country, if you're buying a product white label and it comes from Spain, it gets stopped like-minded, but it's you that's buying it, and you can't prove that it's on the UK OPSS system or you're being legal and compliant, then they'll steal it, take it, or ship it back. Do your homework, and then by doing that, it saves us from costly mistakes. Yeah, and it keeps the patient safe, and it keeps me happy. And it keeps Crystal happy.